So there are four main topics we'll be discussing today. The first one will be the overview of AWS and cloud computing in general, following with how can cloud computing help solve your business challenges, as well as how AWS has helped other nonprofits. So we'll have a case study and we'll have a guest today speaking about their experiences. As well, we'll talk about how your organization can get started and what resources are available to you. So often we get asked at how did Amazon.com, the retail company, get to cloud computing? So after over a decade of building and running the highly scalable web application that most of you know, Amazon.com, the company realized they had developed a core competency in operating massive scale technology infrastructure and data centers, and embarked on a much broader mission of serving a new customer segment: developers, businesses, and public sector customers, with a platform of web services they can use to build sophisticated, scalable applications. Today, AWS is the fastest growing multi-billion enterprise IT vendor in the world. This brings us to the next question of what is cloud computing? There are many different definitions, but within AWS, we see it as the on-demand delivery of IT resources over public or private networks with zero upfront costs, no long-term contracts, and pay-as-you-go pricing. I would specifically like to point out the fact that this is there are no long-term contracts required, and the pricing is pay-as-you-go. So basically, instead of buying, owning, and maintaining your own data centers and servers, organizations can acquire technology such as compute power, storage, databases, and other services on a needed basis. It is similar to how consumers flip a switch to turn on lights in their home and the power company sends electricity. With cloud computing, AWS manages and maintains the technology infrastructure in a secure environment, and businesses access these resources via the internet to develop and run their applications. Capacity can grow or shrink instantly, and businesses only pay for what they use. So AWS provides a highly reliable, scalable, low-cost infrastructure platform in the cloud that powers more than 1 million active customers in 190 countries around the world. What that means to us is that in the last 30 days, over 1 million customers have accessed our services around the globe. Why do they do that? So there are 6 main reasons we're seeing our customers move to the cloud and leverage AWS. The first one is the ability to trade capital expenditures for operation expenditures. This provides benefits, including the no need to create RFPs, additionally, no need for long-term planning and guessing of future requirements, as well as moving to a more flexible model. Another reason why people move to AWS is our economies of scale. Due to the fact that we operate a massive environment, the cost of resources we're able to procure is typically much, much lower than that available to smaller scale clients. Additionally, we are also working with these millions of clients, and we're also able to see some of the patterns that emerge and the services they require. For example, between 90 and 95% of our services and our innovation comes as a direct result of customer engagement. What that really means is that our customers communicate to us what they're looking to see in our services, and we provide them as a managed service. This means that when we have one client with a specific need that we make available to the client, the other millions of clients also have access to that capability, which is quite powerful. Stop guessing capacity. This is especially powerful because in the past, when you're looking to buy environment for your future projects, one had to not only understand the requirements, but also guess the success of those projects, meaning that they had to understand how many people will come and use those services. In public sector, this is especially difficult because in Canada, this can engage anywhere from one person to all of the Canadians and beyond. So this is an ability or a value that we provide that's quite meaningful to majority of our customers. Increasing speed and agility is another reason why a lot of customers move to AWS. We make it possible for our clients to spin up between 1 and millions of servers at any time instantaneously. There's no need to wait for procurement or for an IT department to provision this capability. A lot of our services as well do not require any kind of allocation. You just keep consuming them and you keep scaling as required. And finally, not finally, but instead of focusing on managing IT and data centers, our clients are able to focus on their business and invest into the areas that make a meaningful difference to their business or their cost for that matter. So this way, people that have used to do undifferentiated work like cabling or racking servers can now focus on participating in business decisions and helping the business grow. And finally, one area that might not be as meaningful to foundations within Canada, but is quite meaningful to other people out there, is ability to go global in minutes. 10% of Canadians live outside Canadian borders, and the ability to reach those Canadians is quite important to our customers. So the ability to go global in minutes is also seen as a big benefit by moving to cloud computing. Beyond cloud computing benefits to other people, how do they matter to nonprofits? So a thing to note is that by engaging in cloud computing, AWS offers disruptive innovation that might not be available to our nonprofit customers on premises, agility I spoke about, as well as 21st century capability. So AWS makes it very simple to leverage technologies such as Internet of Things or IoT, artificial intelligence, and machine learning in their everyday business without the need to have a team of experts in order to leverage these capabilities. We also enable our customers to participate or to create world-changing projects. For example, there is a project called Peta Jakarta, which has just been renamed Peta Bengkana, which is a project out of Indonesia where engaging citizens and looking at their tweets and combining that with Internet of Things sensors around lakes and watersheds around Jakarta, which is a city of 30 million people, the public sector customer in that area was able to create a solution to warn of any type of floods or any type of access to water, which affects the citizens hours ahead of time, sometimes even days. In the past, this type of information would only be provided after the fact. We're also supporting economic development as well as citizen services and engagement, as just mentioned. We also power research and education. Speaking of public sector, AWS has been quite active for quite some time. Today, we have over 2,300 government agencies, over 7,000 educational institutions, and most importantly, over 22,000 nonprofit organizations leveraging AWS services to deliver services to their own clients or citizens. So what sets AWS apart? The first thing we mentioned is agility. So this enables customers to deploy hundreds or even thousands of servers in minutes. The next one is cost savings. So beyond the number of different pricing options available to our clients, in the last 11 years, we have announced 62 proactive price reductions to date. Elasticity. This touches on customers being able to scale up and down depending on business needs and not having to procure this infrastructure ahead of time. We also offer a breadth of functionality. Currently, we have over 90 services to support any IT workload in the cloud, and our pace of innovation is quite staggering. So in 2015, we have announced 722 new product and feature releases, while last year we announced over 1,017. This translates to nearly 3 new product and feature releases every single day. Around the world, we host 16 regions with 44 availability zones and 98 edge locations, 2 of which are in Canada, and I'll touch on that in a second. And finally, AWS has provided cloud services for over 11 years now, and we have a partnership and a network of our partners that includes 4,100 marketplace products with over 35 categories. When one looks where our locations are placed around the world, one can see that we have a region in Montreal. What that means to you is that any data which is stored in the Montreal region stays in the Montreal region. So for any tenants today that have data governance around data residing and staying in Canada, by placing that data within the Montreal region would satisfy that requirement. So the natural question then is, well, what is a region? And more specifically, what are these availability zones? You can think of availability zones as one or more data centers, which are very tightly coupled together. So for all intents and purposes, think of an availability zone as a logical data center. And think of a region as two or more availability zones. Today in Canada, Montreal region is comprised of two publicly available availability zones. All of the availability zones are physically separated from each other. They're typically on different floodplains, geographically separated with different power feeds. So in case of a failure, one availability zone does not affect the other, enabling our clients to build highly tolerant services. So what are the most popular scenarios in AWS? There are many different scenarios, but today we'll focus on 5. We'll focus on website hosting, we'll focus on storage, we'll focus on disaster recovery, mobile services, and work productivity. Website hosting has been one of the first use cases that our customers have leveraged on top of AWS. Given the fact that website traffic can fluctuate quite a bit, everything from quiet times in the middle of the night to campaign-driven social media sharing traffic spikes, AWS infrastructure can grow and shrink to meet those needs. AWS only charges for the resources you use with no upfront costs and long-term contracts. AWS has web hosting options that offer pay-as-you-go pricing or fixed monthly pricing. Some of the common use cases we see is a broad CMS and development platform support, as well as dynamically growing and shrinking of your resources online. Storage is another very commonly used service. AWS provides local data storage with high durability and availability and offers storage choices for backup, archiving, disaster recovery, and also block file and object storage. AWS has many different services that deal only for storage. Everything from our simple storage service, or that we refer to as S3, which provides developers and IT teams secure, durable, highly scalable object storage at a very low cost, to Glacier, which is a service that provides low-cost archive storage in the cloud that emulates tape backup. As an example of durability, S3 provides 11 nines of durability. That means if your organization stores 10 million objects or 10 million files in S3, the expectation is that one file may be lost every 10,000 years. We also have a 98 edge locations which provide content delivery. We refer to that as CloudFront. So in order to enable faster streaming or faster delivery of storage to your users, these content delivery network locations are located around the world. We also provide a number of different hybrid options through a storage gateway product, which enables you to put a virtual machine on your on-premises and have access natively into AWS storage. And finally, we offer a number of different encryption mechanisms and storage protection mechanisms to ensure the data is safe through our secure socket layer and AES 256 encryption. We also see disaster recovery as a very popular use case for AWS. The AWS Cloud supports many popular disaster recovery architectures, from pilot-like environments that are ready to scale up at a moment's notice to hot standby environments that enable rapid failover. With data centers in 16 regions around the world, AWS provides a set of cloud-based disaster recovery services that enable rapid recovery of your IT infrastructure and data. When you look at fast performance, this is due to the fact that all our files are on disk-based and solid-state-based storage. So retrieving these files is very fast. Furthermore, we do not use tapes in our environment. This will limit costs associated with transporting, storing, and retrieving tape media and associated tape backup software. From a compliance perspective, there are a number of different ways we support this functionality, and we will talk about this in a later slide. Elasticity. By being able to add any amount of data quickly and easily expire and delete without handling media, we enable our customers to both grow and shrink their storage on demand. Also, our storage is highly secure and durable. This makes it an ideal location for disaster recovery environments, as we mentioned. And we also have a number of different certifications and audits. Partners. We have a number of different partners around Canada which are able to assist our clients in creating a disaster recovery solutions. Mobile services are another area that our clients are starting to move in. As more and more Canadians use their mobile phones in everyday life, a great number of Canadian businesses and public sector entities, including NPOs, have embraced this shift and started offering their services through a mobile platform. AWS provides a plethora of cloud services that make creating, deploying, updating, and securing these applications easier and more cost-effective than through any other means. An example, and actually a local example here in Canada, is the introduction of Can Immunize app. So the OHRI organization, which is responsible for mental health here in Ottawa, was looking to create an immunization app for all the Canadians instead of carrying around yellow paper records. They've engaged a partner of Amazon's called Link by Net, and within a number of months, they were able to create a very secure and a very scalable app available on Apple's storefront, as well as on Android store for any Canadians to download. We also see work productivity, another area that our NPO customers are very interested in. AWS offers a selection of enterprise productivity applications that run as a service in the AWS cloud. These applications for email calendaring, document collaboration, and virtual desktops make it easy to meet the usability, performance, and reliability expectations of employees while simultaneously delivering on the security and compliance requirements of the most demanding enterprise IT organizations. In the last year, we have also introduced Amazon Chime, a secure, real-time unified communication service that transforms meetings by making them more efficient and easier to conduct. The Chime service delivers high-quality audio and video through an application that is easy to use and stays in sync across all of your devices. You can use these services either together or separately based on the needs of your organization. All AWS Enterprise IT application features simply pay-as-you-go monthly pricing, so there are no upfront payments required for server hardware or software licenses. And as mentioned earlier, there are no long-term commitments. Another question we often get is, what is a typical cloud adoption path by our customers? Since cloud has become the new normal, and as companies of every size are now deploying new applications to the cloud by default and looking to migrate as many of their existing applications as they can as quickly as possible, for organizations, the question isn't if they're moving to the cloud anymore. It's really just how fast can we move and what are we going to move first? And not surprisingly, there's no one-size-fits-all. Companies are moving to the cloud through a number of different patterns that we're witnessing. Often we see dev and test being a first environment that gets moved to the cloud, very quickly followed by websites for a number of different reasons, most of them which have been mentioned earlier in this webinar. We also see companies like or organizations like OHRI with Can Immunize move new apps into the cloud, also followed with analytics, mobile and digital, as well as then migrating the entire data center's mission critical applications and making an all-in move into the cloud. So from the cost model, with AWS Cloud, you only pay for what you use. This is very similar to the way you consume electricity in your house. Our pricing philosophy is that we pass the savings along to our customers in the form of low price and continuous reductions, which in turn creates more customers, which in turn creates more AWS usage, more infrastructure on our end, more economies of scale, providing lower infrastructure costs, and again, leading to reduced prices of our services to our customers. To date, as mentioned, we have reduced prices 62 times or nearly 6 times a year. Another very important reason why a number of clients are choosing AWS as their destination is the ability of those customers to meet their compliance needs. regardless if those compliance needs are based on their PCI DSS requirement or an ISO requirement, or in certain terms, HIPAA and MPA compliance, they make putting the environment on AWS makes it easier for them to accomplish this. This is because we, the AWS, take care of all of the foundational service compliances. So for example, compute, storage, database, networking, as well as our physical environments, we provide all of those documents to our clients. So all they need to do is prove that the solution built on top of the cloud is compliant with the certifications they need. In a number of different scenarios, a lot of NPO organizations are using services which are built on AWS without necessarily knowing it. So this slide has an example of 3 different providers that you may be using today, which provide their services on top of AWS. We also have a number of NPO customers. As mentioned earlier, there's over 22,000 of them today. I couldn't fit all of them on this one slide. And they each have their story and reasoning of why they've chosen to join AWS or why they've chosen to build their services on top of AWS. Like all NPO organizations, Jour Terre need to be flexible and agile in order to empower their employees to keep projects moving forward. This resulted in acquisition of new applications, services, and other IT solutions as soon as they identified the need. At first, this practice provided flexibility and agility that I mentioned, but was outweighed quickly by the downside of implementing so many new services without any oversight. As the organization's path-critical solutions continued to grow, organizations didn't know all the services it had, a situation further complicated by the organization's high staff turnover. When employees left, they didn't always know who had bought what service, much less where it was hosted or what the login credentials were. In addition, the organization's data security and backup processes were weak, workflows were inefficient, and costs were complicated to analyze. And Jour Terre didn't have insight into the environmental footprint of its infrastructure, which, given its mandate, is quite important to the organization. After researching options with trusted advisors who are familiar with the IT needs of the small nonprofit organizations, Jour Terre chose to shift its IT infrastructure to AWS to improve control and insight without sacrificing agility and flexibility, and without incurring the expense of staffing an IT department. Linked by Net, an advanced API and consulting partner, helped Jour Terre architect and execute its move to AWS, and now performs its ongoing managed services. In the first phase of the transition, which lasted from September through November of 2016, Linked by Net helped Jour Terre move its databases, web forms, and 3 websites from various providers, co-locate data centers onto an AWS solution. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Mark McKay, the Director of Digital for the Art Gallery Ontario, an organization that themselves have made a move to AWS in the last 12 months. He will be able to tell you their story. Mark?
Great, thank you, Steven. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. When I arrived at the Art Gallery in January 2016, I had the mandate to bring the AGO's collection online in a strategic and efficient manner. We decided to start with a prototype for our Small Wonders exhibition, which was an exhibition on prayer beads from the early 1500s, carved out of boxwood. Our exhibition was a partnership with the Met Museum in New York and the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. And the purpose of this exhibition was to uncover how these amazing little artifacts were made. We had a donor who supported the exhibition and was also very keen in enabling the research and scholarship of these beads, having owned a large collection of them. To do this, our photographers traveled across the world documenting the prayer beads and objects in the collections of various museums and personal holdings. And we were able to document almost every single object in existence. To support the research and the scholarship, my team and I were asked to develop an online collection with tools that would enable the research, which includes the ability to compare up to 4 images at a time, the ability to deep zoom into an object, and create custom collections that could be easily shared with other scholars and researchers along with notes. To accomplish this, we surveyed what others in our industry had done to bring their collections online and to enable scholarship and research. We researched the systems that the other museums had built by reviewing blog posts and documentation that they had published online. We looked under the hood of these systems and spoke to our peers about the challenges that they had and how they had addressed them. We'd also evaluated off-the-service products like eMuseum that integrate easily with our online collection systems, but we knew that from our research and our own product roadmap that we needed to create something that would enable the ability to create once and publish everywhere. We knew that we needed to publish content to our website, our mobile app, in-gallery interactives, and we'd seen how this had been successfully implemented at other museums like the Cleveland Museum of Art with their wonderful interactive gallery, Gallery One, and also the cool things that Cooper Hewitt had done with touchscreen tables and RFID. So with this view to the future, we decided to build our own product and system. And next slide, please. Content management system and Loris Python-based image server. The Drupal CMS powers the online website of the museum and the in-gallery digital systems and collection system. It contains several custom content types, views, and themes, as well as modules to compile the object data, as well as the deep zoom technology for viewing the high-resolution images on the web. It's a module called Mirador. This Mirador module is something that my team and I created using open source software, and it's the first of its kind for Drupal. It makes adding and updating images and objects flexible and it has a user-friendly administrator interface. The Loris image server supports the IIIF image API. IIIF is the International Image Interporality Framework. It's a standardized method for describing and delivering images over the web, as well as presentation-based metadata. It's supported by a consortium of diverse communities, including libraries, museums, and cultural heritage institutions. In our system, the Drupal Mirador modules grabs the images from Loris and enables all the fancy functionality of deep zoom and compare, et cetera, et cetera. And in addition to the system for delivering and displaying the content, the two data sources, our collection has two data sources for our object data and images. The metadata lives on an internal server called TMS, the museum system, and it includes all the objects information and educational content associated with it. The image data lives in our digital asset management system called Portfolio, and these images are really high res, usually around 100 or 200 megabytes, and due to their size, they need to be compressed before going up to the site, and their metadata needs to be extracted so that we can associate them with the data from TMS. We had no internal infrastructure to support the delivery of this prototype of our online collection, and a lot of what we needed to do, we were learning along the way. Because of the lack of infrastructure and expertise and the complexity of our technology stack, we knew we needed a partner to support us, and we chose Amazon Web Services. The reasons we chose to work with AWS is because of the ease of use and self-service system. I've got a really smart team who reports into me, and they know what they're doing. And they wanted to be able to get right in there and set things up with very little barriers. We all liked that we had the ability to scale. Looking ahead to this year, we knew that we were going to bring our collection online and that we would get more traffic and have more objects, so we needed to be able to scale up to support this. We also knew that the site would get lots of traffic at certain points through the run of our exhibition, and that at other times it'd be very low. So the pay-per-use of AWS is something else that is very attractive. Then finally, we knew that we would need support. As skilled as we were in web and digital technologies, we knew that we would need a partner to help us along the way. And the options available from us, from AWS, both through the platform and partners, as well as the not-for-profit team, was incredibly valuable to us when we reached areas where we didn't know what to do. Next slide, please. Our Boxwood prototype launched almost a year ago to the day. It had 18,000 views through the run of the exhibition. It was featured in an article in the New York Times, as well as a winner of the American Association of Museum Curators Award for Best Digital Publication. Today, we've scaled our system to bring our entire collection online. The first release will be later next month, and it'll feature all of the objects that are on display at the Art Gallery of Ontario, and we'll continue to add to them over time and eventually bring all 90,000 objects in our collection online available for use in view. We're also working with a consortium of museums across North America, both small, medium, and large, to share the technology that we've built. We'll be making it available as a one-click install for free in the AWS marketplace, and release the modules that we've created that support Mirador and IIIF for free to use by others. And that's our story of how we've used AWS to bring our collection online. And as we look towards the future and finish the redesign of our website, we'll also begin to migrate our website over to AWS as well and use it to power our new mobile app.
Thank you, Mark. That's very impressive. So another question we commonly get asked is how to get started to leverage AWS. It is quite simple. As Mark mentioned, the model is very much a self-serve model. Anyone can go online and sign up. And typically what we see is people start leveraging what we refer to as a free tier. A free tier are a collection of services which provide our users with a certain amount of consumption free of charge. I encourage you to go to https://aws.amazon.com/free and take a look at the different services available. Some services are limited to the free tier for the first 12 months, while other services actually have an unlimited duration of a free tier, and the only thing that matters is the amount of consumption. So currently we have just shy of 25 services which are limited to 12 months, and over 20 other services which have no time limit to the free tier model. Another way that we assist our NPO clients in embracing AWS technology is through credit programs. An example of credit program is TechSoup, where nonprofits get access to selected packaged AWS cloud services. So eligible NPO organization can receive a grant of $2,000 in credits, and they can apply to these service credits toward usage fees for all AWS on-demand cloud services. The link is shown on the page here, and let me remind you that this slide and this entire deck will be shared with the participants. As you've heard from a number of our stories, that especially in the NPO space, sometimes organizations do not have an internal knowledge of how to leverage some of our IT services. In that case, we have a vast AWS Partner Network where NPO customers can optimize their technology solutions by teaming up with those partners. You're able to search our partner network for NPO partners in Canada and start collaborating today. And the link is shown on the page. Additionally, we also see that even with the partners' help, there are a number of questions that vary in both business and technical questions that we have set up an NPO office hours. We host monthly office hours to answer questions from those in the nonprofit space about our capabilities, best practices, and how to get started. And this is, of course, open to any NPOs that sign up at aws.amazon.com/NPO.